is Sunday the 18th, so that's the day before the operation, and we're just jumping on to give an update on more of the protocols that I'll actually be following post surgery. So when I bought the peptides, it was recommended to do like a 2-week run up, just like in preparation for the operation, but I didn't know how any of these compounds were going to interact with like the anesthesia or any medicine or any medication that I may be given. So I thought I better just keep a clean slate and we will hit it straight away. So I'll begin at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, and the operation should be approximately about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then I should be cleared to leave the same day as long as the usuals are hit. I eat, I drink, and I can go to the toilet. So I'm just jumping on. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give a breakdown of the actual protocol that I'm going to be using for the first 14 days, and then what could be changing thereafter. To be fair, just looking at it, it's pretty much the same all the way through. What I was planning on doing today was just breaking down the doses and the frequency at which I'll be using the doses. So I've written down here, just make life a lot easier because I'll never ever remember it. So like I said, I did do this on ChatGPT, went on to ChatGPT, basically like I said, used it as a meta-analysis of all the data that was out there, and this was its recommended protocol for this. So we'll start at the phase 1. Phase 0 is the preloading phase, or the pre-op phase, but like I said, I didn't know how any of this stuff was going to interact, so I thought I'll just keep it to the point of post-surgery only. So the acute post-op phase will be 1 to 14 days. During that time I'm going to be taking BPC 157. I'm going to be pinning that, it says near the hip. I don't know how close I'm going to get to the hip. I'm going to just have had multiple holes put in my body with a wee arthroscopy, so I don't know how close I'll get it to the hip, but like I said, it works systemically anyway. So I'm going to be pinning 250 micrograms of that a day, as close to the hip as possible. I'll be using the TB500, that's going to be 2 milligrams, not micrograms, 2 milligrams, and that's going to be day 1 and then day 4 and so on throughout the week. So for every week it will be day 1 and day 4. For the first 2 weeks I'll be taking copper, that'll be 2 milligrams daily, again sub-Q, close to the hip as possible, but again that will be systemic, so it doesn't really matter too much. I'll be taking the NAD. That's, like I said, the recommended dose is the max that I've got it in, the 250 micrograms, or milligrams, sorry, and that recommends to be taken 2 times or 2 to 3 times weekly. I'm actually just going to run that at 125 twice a week, and I'll do that on day 2 and day 5 just to make life a little bit easier. Again, I could be blasting that for God knows how long, and it's £60 a bottle, so if you're doing that a few times a week, it's going to add up pretty quickly. You know, you're looking at 180 quid a week just for NAD. So I'm just going to split that a week, and I'll probably do that for the first 2 weeks, and then I'll drop off to once a week or once a month. Ipamorelin, that's going to be 200 micrograms daily, but twice a day. So we're looking at a max dose of 400. It's going to be 1 in the morning and 1 at night. The Vylon is going to be 100 micrograms daily, again sub-Q or close to the hip, and it does recommend that I use the hyperbaric chamber 5 to 7 times, so basically 1 time a day at 2 atmospheres above normal atmospheric pressures. I don't think I'm going to get into the hyperbaric chamber in any considerable time, especially the first 2 weeks, potentially even longer. So I wanted to get straight into this, but the risk, I think, of trying to get in and out, it's going to be almost impossible with such a damaged hip or such pain in my hip. So the idea is going to be, I'll see how that feels, I'll see how this pans out, but again, if I can get into the hyperbaric chamber at least once or twice, that's the class. If not, then I'll just wait to the initial 2 weeks. After that initial 2 weeks, we're going to be running the same sort of protocols. The only thing that will be changing is the NAD. They suggest dropping that down from 2 to 3 times a week to once a week. I'm just going to be running that once a week anyway to start, and then we'll see how we go on with it. And then the hyperbaric chamber drops down from 5 to 7 to 2 to 3 times a week, still at 2 times the atmospheric pressure. And then I think towards the last kind of 3 months, when I'm coming up towards the kind of 6 months mark, it'll be 1.5 times, and it'll be up to 90 minutes, so anywhere between 60 to 90 minute sessions at a time. So I'll be getting into that as soon as possible. Again, it's just going to be played by ear in terms of how quickly I recover, and how mobile I am. I don't know how bad it's going to be. If it's just the labral tear, it should be a much quicker operation and a much quicker recovery time. After shaving obviously the bone of the femur, the head of the femur, you know, that's 4 weeks in the crutches, they've said, and then we're looking at a lot longer in terms of just like bearing load and back to lifting. So again, just to reiterate, nobody's asked me to do this. This is on my own. The recovery range will let me use the hyperbaric chamber, but they've not asked me to do any of this peptide stuff. I'm just blogging this just so that we can see if I can get back on my feet quicker. I'm not looking to get back onto the mats and spar for my own sake, or squat and deadlift for my own sake, but I do want to be back in the gym, running the business, not relying. I don't want to have to put all the pressure of running the business on everybody else. So yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm going to probably follow this up after I'm going to set everything up before I go into hospital. So I'll be in hospital tomorrow. I'm going to set my peptides up and just leave them in the fridge because they need to be stored in the fridge, and then we'll get right into it. But what I'm going to do is probably somewhere I'll probably pop up like my protocols and everything I've got. But again, any comments, any feedback, any questions, just file them in the comments below or message me direct, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.